5,000 Mile Club edition. I'm your host, Eddie Wooten. I'm the Triad Sports Editor for the News and Record and the Winston-Salem Journal, and I'm also the author of Running Shorts at Greensboro.com. The 5,000 Mile Run Club is a group of about 50 runners, mostly from the Greensboro area, who were running a continuous relay race at Northern Guilford High School, aiming to get to 5,000 miles completed while observing stringent social distancing practices amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The team started at 8 a.m. on April the 15th and is expecting to cross the halfway mark early Tuesday, probably with runner Simon Cloutier doing the honors, with a finish sometime around Mother's Day weekend. Today, I have 4 of the 50 or so runners that are involved in this effort joining me on the roundtable, and I'd like to welcome them now. First up, Jody Nelson, who along with Danny McCormick is one of the directors of this effort. Jody, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Many of you know Jen Goff. She's here with us today. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Eddie. Thanks for having me.
All right, you're welcome. Elle Ellender is another one of the team's speedy runners. Good afternoon, Elle.
Hi, Eddie.
Great to have you. And Darian Smith is the guy that I think the team is hitching his wagon to. Strong and fast legs. Welcome, Darian.
Thank you. Thanks.
In full disclosure, I am also a member of this club, so please consider me either an embedded journalist or a publicity-seeking hack, or somewhere in between if you like. Jody, let me start with you. Earlier, I interviewed Rich Swore, who talked about the creation of the race and kind of what it's about, but if you would just kind of remind people what our group is up to.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, Rich came up with the original idea. Obviously, him and Libby are a really big part of our running community here in Greensboro. All of us on this call right now have run his races, his and Libby's races. And like many people in the community, have to find new ways to do things in today's time. And he Googled, he just started looking, what's the longest relay ever ran? And Guinness World Book of Records came somewhere around 3,500 miles, a little over 50 people, and about a 7.7 mile per hour average. And then the longest shown was a little over 4,000 miles. It took 30 days and 2,000 runners. So we just kind of combined all those numbers and said, could we beat all of that? Could we go 8 miles per hour? Could we be less than 50 people? Can we just go way beyond 4,000? Let's go 5,000. So he just threw out the number 5,000 and got some people involved and said, you think this will work? And, I think right now is one of the rare times in history, at least, that we can know of recent times where this actually could work, because a lot of us are home. I'm usually traveling over 50% of the time myself, but a lot of us are here. And yeah, so we started, and I think, some of the runners are maybe getting some of the frustrations out on the road. They might have been, in Boston or other races and had the miles built up. Others like myself were trying to build up, and this gave a good excuse to build up. So we're all here, and I think we have 48 right now active runners.
Jen, let me ask you, what has being a part of this effort meant for you and your running?
Well, I was actually out on a run yesterday, and all of a sudden realized that yesterday was actually supposed to be the marathon that I was training for. Obviously, it got canceled. And so it's just been kind of nice to just, have something to kind of make me show up every day. So, you kind of got into this lull of just going out and running without really feeling like there was a purpose. And so it's just really cool, kind of like when I did my first shift and I showed up and Asias was like right before me, and it was just a really neat way to be able to still see people in the community and almost kind of feel like you're still training with people, even though you're really not. So honestly, it's just given me a sense of purpose again without really having a race. And the thing I think I've enjoyed most is just, even though you're not running with the people, just seeing the people. And even like Darian, I don't know if we've ever actually even met in person. And I feel like I've almost met more people and seen more people through this and be able to, even on the team Snap page, just being able to talk to more people than maybe I would have even before. So it's been really cool.
Very good. Elle, how about for you? What is running in this relay meant for you?
I second Jen. It's given me a purpose at this time of, why am I running? There's no races coming up. It's also given me a nice outlet with trying to homeschool the 2 kids and my husband's busy schedule. It's kind of provided me with this is my time to do something that I want to do, that I am a part of. So that's been really enjoyable.
Darian, let me ask you, the statistics are showing that you have run 165 miles to this point in the first 12 days. What is being a part of this all about for you?
Just being part of this bigger goal to reach 5,000 miles, and it's pretty powerful just knowing that. When you're out there running for an hour or 2 hours at a time, you might mentally lose your focus. But once you hone in on that overall goal, and then you start looking at the statistics. It's just how evenly paced you are, and then you compare it to everybody else too. It's amazing how consistent everybody is staying. It's pretty amazing.
Very good. Jody, I wanted to come back to you as one of the people helping organize the effort. Social distancing, obviously very important because of the pandemic. I know runners have been discussed here and there about whether they're adhering to social distancing practices or not. Tell me what you and Rich and Danny had come up with in terms of ensuring that this group is adhering to that.
Yeah, we all had a call before this started, and that was one of our number one topics, is really to take everyone's safety in consideration. So we do require that only 2 people are at the track at a time, and that's only during the transition. So the person that's coming in to transition for the other runner, they should be there at most 10 minutes before, and there's no need to be even close to within 6 feet of each other. The way Rich has set it up, we all have foot chips that we put around our ankles, so there's no handing off a baton or anything like this, so there's no touching. And actually, I feel quite a bit safer. I don't know everybody else on the phone way, but before this, I was running a lot on the Greenway, and the Greenway is just packed right now, right? Bikers, walkers, hikers, runners. You're not even close to anybody. And once you're out there, and especially when I'm running 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning, you're just by yourself. There's nobody there.
Question for all of you: how are you balancing the work that you're having to do these days with an intensive running effort, and also trying to balance the demands of family and home?
Eddie, I guess I'll start. It's been, again, it's been nice. It's kind of my outlet, my time. We do have time slots that we can set up ahead of time, so you can work it into when it works for you. There's been a couple shifts, 2, I believe, where I had to bring my kids along. So they were flying kites on the infield, again, totally by themselves. But it was nice for them to actually see that we're still a part of something, that there's still, something to work for. It's been good for them to see that just because we have all this stress going on in the outside world, that we can still accomplish things and set goals and reach them.
Yeah, I can chime in on that too. I'm very similar, I guess, situation as Elle. I had my kids came with me on one of my legs also, and they rode their bikes around a while, and they're young, so they don't quite understand what's going on with the virus and everything. So, and I just say to them, we're going to be the only ones on the track right now, and they say, why? Because of the virus, and and then they think it's a race, and they say, oh, Mommy, did you win? I'm like, well, I'm the only one here right now, but yeah, we're trying to set a world record, and they think that's pretty cool. So, but I do think the juggling is, I know personally, I think it's hard. I mean, I'm definitely struggling with it, and I know, like what Elle said, I can really, during the week, I can only schedule shifts for myself between 7 and 9 a.m. It's kind of what my husband and I have worked out. I'm only working part-time right now with the temporary closing of Fleet Feet. He's still working full-time at home, and we're just kind of taking turns with the kids and just trying to manage it as best as we can. And I can say the days that I do have a shift on the track, my mood is a lot better. A lot better. Yeah. I mean, even more so. I mean, just getting out to run every day, my mood is always better. But just even going to the track, and again, just seeing the person before me and the person after me, even just for like 2 seconds, it just is like, hey, a person, and so it's just really, it helps. Definitely helps.
How about for the two gentlemen?
Go ahead, Darian.
Well, Jody could probably relate to this. It's the type of miles we're putting in. It's not too different from training for a 100-miler. So especially with the picking up odd times and throughout the day. And I think it's still kind of hard to be away at a odd hour, but Jody definitely takes the trophy for that as far as like middle of the night runs. But I think being having a half day work schedule that I've been on has actually freed up some time, and it's running at different times each day. I've actually been able to hang out with my 2-year-old daughter more, and she's been to the track a couple times, and to her it's a lot of fun just seeing me go around in circles. So but I don't know, does Jody's kids, are they more entertained by you going in circles, or?
Actually Sunday, because GoFar was canceled next weekend. It was supposed to be GoFar for my daughter, and she's done it since first grade, I think, almost. And so she ran a 5K. So the weekends when we run, my wife and I would try to make it kind of a family event, bring the kids. My son's out there with the bike. During the week, I mean, it's like with you, Darian, when you're training up miles, you're getting 70 to 100 miles in. You got kids and work, so you're running 2-3 o'clock in the morning anyway. So I just kind of hang back and look for those open spots, and there tend to be a lot of them. So I just grab them and run, I guess.
Well, that is a great segue to the next topic, and I can say I've helped a little bit, but not a whole lot on what you're calling the Nighthawk sessions. But for Jody and for Darren, if y'all could just talk about that a little bit, what the Nighthawk sessions are and what it's like out at Northern Guilford High School in the middle of the night.
Yes, I didn't know there was going to be one. Actually, Danny created this statistic. It's from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. He's counting how many 30-minute segments you do there. So, I mean, I didn't know what a track looked like for a long time. Only ran 1 or 2 light runs. I didn't even know there was football posts until one of my light runs, and there's actually a pond out there. I don't know. I enjoy it. Actually, I find it easier to run. I listen to podcasts, so I just tune out anyway. And, when running in the forest at night, it just, here's another tree. It's different when you're running during the day. You have different things going by you, and it's pretty boring running around track, to be honest. Actually, I think it's better at night, because then I don't believe I'm on the track. I'm just running.
Yeah, pretty similar. Yeah, you just you have to pinch yourself every once in a while, because you go into this like cruise control mode, and it's almost like you're on a spinning record, and it's almost like you're in a trance basically. So podcasts are good. Even high tempo music every once in a while, just to make sure you're awake. I think it's bizarre. Yeah, I'm used to running on anything that's not flat. So running on really flat, soft surface like that is it's almost trance-like, especially at night.
That's been definitely hard, and I found a pace where I'm always fearful the next person's not going to come, and understanding. I mean, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody's going to try to leave me. So I always run assuming that I'm going to run at 2 hours or more longer than I thought. So I always have enough water and fuel with me to last another 2 hours beyond my point. So
yeah, I've played that trick on my brain too. Like, I might have to go another hour or two.
I've been disappointed sometimes when people actually showed up, because I was in a groove and felt good.
Yeah. So hey, let's knock out 30 miles right here.
Exactly.
I'm going to be honest with you. When I can see that little figure walking down the
little shadow
with about 10 or 15 minutes to go, I feel like, okay, I can get to the end now. Jen has been running laps at around 650 per mile. Elle, you've been down in the 630 per mile range. For the two of you, let me just ask a little bit about your running backgrounds and kind of why you guys are so fast.
I started running, I was, I guess, my dad got me started running in 3rd grade. He was a runner. And so I was just curious and started running with him. And then once I got to high school, I just kind of kept going from there and ran competitively from high school, then for Lehigh University, and then started running marathons in 2009. And then it just, I don't know, it just kind of evolved from there. And I don't know, Elle, I can't really say why do we run so fast?
I'm trying to slow down as you keep telling me,
Yeah,
Jen.
I keep trying to slow Elle down. I was like, stop doing so many fast workouts. The track does kind of just bring something out in you, though. Like it's,
There's some magic to it.
Yeah.
And like Jody, like they've said, you just get into a groove, and it's kind of hard to, you look down and you're like, oh crap, I'm really going to slow down this lap. And then next lap is the exact same pace.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, Darian and Jody are obviously both ultra marathon runners. Tell me just a little bit about your background and kind of how you got into running such long distances.
Go for it, Jody.
You're fast at it.
Actually, I met Darian at my first ultra marathon here in Greensboro at the Triple Lakes. I was like, wow, that's the guy to beat, and he crushed me. No, I started running maybe about 7 years ago when we lived in Boston before moving to Greensboro. My wife signed me up for the BAA medley, which is a 5K, half marathon, and a 10K. And at the time, I was 205 pounds. So I've dropped to 40, 50 pounds since then, traveling a lot, and just kind of got the bug. And then coming here, it's just amazing community running. And started with the Blue Liners early Saturday mornings, and just kept on running and didn't feel like stopping. And a lot of opportunities for ultra running here, and amazing trails. I mean, just in town, 80 some miles of trails that you can just jump on and kind of get yourself lost if you want to, and Pilot Mountain and things nearby. So.
How about for you, Darian?
Yeah, it's sort of I've always run, and I kind of, but it was always to get into shape for whatever sport I was playing. I played high school baseball, I played hockey and basketball, and pretty much whatever was in season I'd play. But I'd be running, every season, and I didn't really. I think I ran maybe just 1 year across country and lost interest. And but I got back in college. I got into hiking, and I had this goal to get back into shape, get out of lose the college 15 to 30 pounds, and get back into shape and hike the Appalachian Trail. But I was so busy with school, going to graduate school, and but I kept running, and the hiking kind of blended in the running, and one of my buddies was like, that's a sport where you can run up and down mountains, and I was like, what? I thought I invented that, but once I started looking, it was kind of no turning back. You start with 5K or 10K, and then before you know it, you're running 100-mile race through the mountains of Arizona. So it's like, how did I get here?
Before you know it, huh? All right. So speaking of scenery, and Jody touched on this, it's lap after lap. The scenery doesn't change. What do you guys think about as you're out there running?
I'll tack on to what you said, Eddie. I'm like, I really hope the next person shows up.
That's a good thought.
I don't know. I guess I try to play mental games. Like my last shift, it was an hour and a half. And so I think it was like 53 laps or something. And when you think about that many laps, like I don't really think about it, I think, when you're doing it. But then you get done and you're like, wow, did I really just run 53 laps? I kind of get lost in it a little bit. I play music. I play games, though. Like I will do 3 miles at a time in one direction, and then try to get like each mile a little bit faster, and then rotate direction and start over again with a slower mile and get faster. And then other than that, I think I'm kind of like breaking it up into like little runs within a bigger run. And so sometimes I forget, I think, what I think about when I'm running. Like it just kind of goes by, and then you get done, and it's almost like when you wake up from a dream, you don't necessarily remember it. that might sound cheesy, but I can't even really say what I think about other than hoping the next person shows up.
I'm kind of there with Jen. Just you know, it's nice to have a mental break and escape and not really think about anything, or I don't realize what we're thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps.
So are you guys not counting laps in your head or anything? Like, I'm like really low tech, and I'm afraid the chip's gonna fail. Counting every time by. Nobody else is doing that.
Do you have like a golf counter or something in your hand? Or?
I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's very effective, but.
I count it by mile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really old school, so I still have like my watch is like a little old Timex watch. I could only get it. It would only track 30 laps anyway. So I'm like,
Right.
well, I just count it by mile and just do that. I would probably end up losing count anyway if I tried to count that many laps.
I've lost count more times than I can remember already. So, yeah. All right, let me ask all of you guys, final question. You go out, you have these long runs or hard runs or both. What is the feeling after you walk off the track, and what's the reward for it?
And sleep.
Good one.
I have a protein shake and then try to get at least a couple hours of sleep before I have to wake up again with the kids.
I'm usually like trying to rush home so that my husband can start work and be there on time. But it always feels good. Usually, I don't know. I guess maybe I should reward myself more. I don't really have a reward for after I'm done. That'll be my wine later on in the day, I guess.
Yeah, if it's a hot middle of the day run, an ice cold beer with some oranges is really motivating. Knowing that's waiting for me, for sure.
But I will say that's when you do finish a leg, you know, you get caught up in it, and I think it's not until after when I say, you know, okay, wow, I just ran that many laps, and and then you think to yourself, okay, that's kind of crazy. I just literally just ran, and you know, you don't really sometimes like. You'll be talking to someone on the phone. Like I talked to my dad a lot about it, and he's like, "You ran 53 laps around a track." He's like, "What's wrong with you?" He's like, "You're doing it for fun." I'm like, "Yeah, it was awesome." So you know, but sometimes you don't realize what you did until you're done. So and it kind of just becomes a very cool feeling, knowing that you did that. So.
It's also cool to see, like, I guess the next person. I mean, most all my runs, there's been somebody different following me or somebody different before me. A lot of people I've heard about or know about in the running community, but I've never actually like had a conversation with. And I think this is kind of bringing us together, and that's been an awesome reward. It's just, you know, waving the next person on, cheering them for the first lap or two while you're stretching and cooling down, and then heading out.
I think one thing that is pretty cool is, and I don't know if you guys are doing this too, but like when I get there, I'll usually take a picture of whoever's running, and then like that person will take a picture of me, and then like, you know, then the next person comes and, you know, you take a picture of them, and then we have this, obviously this team snap page where you can kind of, you know, it's a lot of times you'll see names of people. You're like, I'm not sure. I know that name. I'm not sure if I know that person. But then usually you'll end up like seeing their picture on the team snap. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. And I feel like that's been a really cool way just to kind of keep everyone in touch with each other.
Is there anything you guys would like to add or say here at the end?
Just one comment quick. One thing I really enjoy about this is really a team feeling. A lot of times when we're out there running races and you're kind of doing it for yourself, you have people cheering you on. And now, like, every time you go out there, you're like, I don't want to let these people down. You know, I want to keep going. And even if you feel bad or whatever, you just keep pushing. It's not pushing for yourself. It's just pushing because you have a team behind you. And that's one thing I really enjoy about this, especially since we can't have team sports at the moment. It's one way to kind of get a team sport right now.
Thank you so much, Jody Nelson, Jen Goff, Darian Smith, and Elle Ellender for joining us today on the Running Shorts Roundtable. The 5,000-mile run club, again, is running at Northern Guilford High School. We'll approach the halfway mark, 2,500 miles, early Tuesday, and are expecting to get to 5,000 miles probably on Mother's Day weekend. So stay tuned to Running Shorts for more updates. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Eddie.
Eddie Wooten, Greensboro.com.